Hey guys, how you doing? My name's Peter Hornang Aristizábal. So I work with energy for now over 11 years, just focusing on what that even means. As a result, it's taken me on a little bit of a interesting trajectory in life. When we focus on something as abstract or ethereal as energy, it's going to be left to interpretation for everybody. Um, I've been doing this work not only for a means of sustenance in terms of making money, but really for my own, uh, health, my own awareness, my own feelings of what's really going on here when we connect to one another. And I mean, the bigger thing is not only when we connect to one another, but really the larger question is when we connect to ourselves and what's really happening. As a result, I've had many, out of body experiences, you can call it, or moments where I become embodied. Mm, I think that's the better terminology is becoming fully embodied. And, in order for us to become fully embodied, sometimes we have to understand what it means to be disembodied. And that's where trauma comes in. Trauma is one of the things that we're all navigating in our own way, in our own unique way. And in a way, it becomes this blessing because each and every one of us has had our own experiences in life that make up who we are. That gives for our own unique way of navigating struggle. So I say all this just because right now I wanted to give an embodied transmission. Embodied transmission means that I become an energy. Becoming energy is something that most people don't necessarily understand. I think if you are an energy worker, maybe you've had moments where you felt energy moving through you, or if you've received energy work. Some people are very, very talented at this. I think of people like Matthias Di Stefano and other people like Bashar. But I don't think that there are that many people out there who can fully become embodied in terms of being able to radiate energy in terms of your communication. I've seen elders do it from Hawaii, from other walks of indigenous nations. I personally work with an indigenous community down in South America called the Arhuaco. The Arhuaco are coupled with the Kogi, Canquamo, and the Wiwa, who are kind of the stewards of what they call el corazón del mundo, or the heart of the earth. They're stewards in how they protect land, and the land here especially is very important. So where I am is I'm in Topanga. Topanga is in Southern California, just outside of Los Angeles, kind of the northern area close to Malibu, a little inland in the mountains. Topanga actually means in the indigenous, I think it's the Tongan people out here, their indigenous understanding or language is where the mountain meets the ocean. Usually, if you come across a landmark like this or a mountain range like this, it's very, very, very powerful. It's got a lot of ancestral knowledge just in its bones, in its nutrients, in its core. When we connect to that as an embodied channel, we start to radiate energy at a very high frequency, and people start to connect to that energy frequency. I've been doing energy work in terms of ley lines, if you know what ley lines are, or grid work. It means you do energy work with the literal lines in the ground. If the earth had meridian lines, which they call our kind of acupuncture lines in our body, we are the acupuncture needles that are navigating these lines in terms of grid workers, or people who move immense amounts of energy, which I've been doing in a lot of different ways over the last decade or so. When you sit down and you connect to energy, energy is this fluidity. It is a flowing. It is a understanding that nature is, unencumbered. There are no plans. There just simply is, right? We exist just as a means of who we are. There's no explanation around it. We just exist, and that is just how life has continued over the span of eons. So if that's true, then whatever this is left to your own interpretation. But as I settle into my grid here, I connect to energy by opening up my spirit. My spirit grounds into the space. My space is my home. It's where I live. It's where I've planted the seeds of who I am in terms of where I come from, all over my trajectory of life, where I grew up, where I traveled to, where I went to my higher education, where I, expanded my consciousness all around the world. When you do this sort of work, it's not something that you need to force. I knew after, yeah, about 10 years of doing this work that now is the time for me to start doing this next level of communication. So when I sit and when I connect to energy out here, Topanga is clear, right? It's a clear space. There's literally nobody here right now. I live with a whole bunch of other people out here, but everyone just left. Very rarely happens, but right now I think it's perfect timing for this moment because it helps me open up the space without anybody's energy getting in the way. It also helps people to understand that when we live with other people, when we live with our family, when we live with people that we're just getting to know, when we live with roommates, when we live with friends, when we live with significant others, we're generating this connection, this circulation. When we can relax into that space and then it feels really comfortable, it feels like home, it feels like who we are, then the energy really picks up, right? When we're relaxed in our environment, we feel good. We feel inspired. We feel like, oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do everything, right? Maybe I can do anything. And right now, I'm doing something I didn't even know was possible. So it feels pretty good to say that out of all the things that I've ever endeavored to do in terms of maybe a goal or trying to get good at, I started with language. I started with a lot of different things, sports, being able to read and write to a degree, and then also, the little things that make up who we are in terms of music. Music is something that I've always wanted to be, my own. My own meaning, my own interpretation, my own ability to interpret what feels right to me so I can express myself without any other person's identity coming through. So all that to say is when you start to become embodied, when you start to settle into a space, when you start to feel really good, when you start to really pick up on the energy flow and you start to feel the navigation of the energy moving through your grid, through your lines, through your meridian lines, through your life's lines, and where your memories are connected to a location or a moment in time, allow these energies to connect to you in a way where you can just start to feel good, knowing that no matter what happens in the span of your lifetime, you have left an imprint. It doesn't matter if you on paper, you did nothing. Really, in the larger scheme of life, you've done a lot of things. And I think that's something that modern day civilization has a hard time reconciling. How could we be doing so much by doing nothing? And that's where energy comes in. When we sit and we breathe and we vibrate, we are by the nature of the vibration and breath and just the smell of who we are changing the atmosphere. When we connect to our breathing, the atmosphere is who we are connecting to. We're connecting to microscopic hydrogen molecules, oxygen molecules. We're connecting to the grid of life. We connect not only through the earth, we connect through the atmosphere, we connect through our lungs, we connect through our interspersing of energy through everything, through our veins. Our veins are not just our ventricle system that circulates blood, but it's also our veins for our meridian lines that are just like that. They branch out into the world and they connect through us into other dimensions, into other beings, into other ideas, into other forms of consciousness or understanding of what life is. And that's important. It's important because we don't really know shit. And I think when we hear stuff like this, it helps us open up our mind to realize how little we know. And I feel like being able to not know anything is a good starting point for being able to maybe learn something. So I say this with the utmost humility and with the utmost gratitude. I appreciate you listening. I'm going to now connect a little bit more to what it is that's going to come through. So when we connect to energy, energy is a space, it's a place, it's a feeling, it's an idea, it's all things, it's everything, right? It's a vibration, it's a frequency, it's something that can allow us to name and heal and balance out space. If space is something that is a vibration, then that also means it exists in other forms. It exists as a concept. It exists as a vibration in and of itself. It exists as an idea also. If space was an idea, what would the most ideal space be for you to heal into right now? Would you want to move somewhere else? Live somewhere else? Would you want to become somebody else or something else? And that is where consciousness is able to open us up. We're able to connect to spirit in all the ways that spirit wants us to heal and feel. And if spirit wants us to heal and feel, then that means that we're moving through a process of delving deeper into our identity. When we open up identity, we open up everything, right? We can be this person right here, myself, Peter, or we can be our family, or we can be our profession, or we can be the world. We can connect as earthlings, right? We come from earth. But we can also expand it even more and say, I also come from a different relative that exists a little further beyond our five senses, and that is with archangels. Archangels are angels, but being an archangel, you have a certain level of consciousness that is a little bit further, say, advanced or higher in frequency, or a little further understood in terms of it being also a religious association. I don't practice any religion. I'm not a religious person. But I do have moments where I connect with these beings, and they communicate to me, and they tell me things, and I take them and I communicate exactly what they need to communicate to the person that I'm speaking with in terms of the work that I do. If there is an archangel coming through and wants to say something, I just say, okay, let's hear it. And when this archangel comes through, I hear Archangel Ramiel. Archangel Ramiel is one of the archangels that I connect with. Ramiel is an archangel. He, she, they're left to be gender neutral, but in terms of this, Ramiel feels like a masculine energy. Ramiel is one of the archangels I work with in terms of understanding healing in the meridian lines, and also understanding healing in terms of what it means to be kind of jiving and moving and feeling in rhythm, feeling in flow, feeling into a space, and knowing that the space is reacting to how you're reacting to it. And it is how life works. If we walk into a space and we're feeling good, and the space is like, yo, this person's fucking rad, let's talk to them, then that is a space opening up to you because you feel good, the space feels good. If it's reacting in reciprocity to how you're coming into the space. And if we're real and authentic in how we feel in the space, and the space will be like, yo, this homie is fucking tight. I want to hang out with this dude a little more because I want to figure out what he's doing that feels so good. What does he know? So when that energy comes through and we are our authentic selves, just default feeling good, space opens. There was one lesson there. If space is opening because we feel good, then there's going to be more things that come through. What are some of the other things that come through? You know, maybe there's an opportunity that'll come to you. Maybe it'll be an opportunity to connect with a person in a relationship, and some sort of necessity that we have in terms of our work, in terms of our biological needs, in terms of our emotional needs, in terms of our friendships, in terms of everything, right? If we have a relationship that's opening up in our life, it means that there's something opening up in our hearts that is needing to be nourished. And if we're putting ourselves in a space where that nourishment is coming in very, very, very strong in terms of our own internal satisfaction with who we are, then there will be the reciprocation of that, or the reflection of that in reality, right? So if you're doing something in your life that's extremely fulfilling, right? Say you're helping out a friend, or you're helping out a relative, you're going to help them understand who they are. You're going to help them understand who they are in a contextual situation where they need to maybe get a new job, or they need to figure out their life in ways where it's more profound, where they need to get over something, right? If you're able to facilitate a very meaningful connection with somebody to themselves in one way or another, that comes through in a very meaningful way for you. And it's just how this works. This is chemistry. When we have an amazing connection with somebody, that connection starts to build a bond. That bond is strengthened through endurance and through trying times, and we get over these humps of pain, or these humps of miscommunication, or these humps of just being stuck, right? We can move through stuff in ways that we've never been able to move through before, then the world starts to change in that same way, right? We are a microcosm of the universe. If we are a microcosm of the universe, every little thing that we do matters. And if every little thing that we do matters, then what we are doing as a whole collectively as a civilization really matters. So if we're going deeper into who we are and understanding who we are in all the ways that are the most important to us consistently in every single way, right? If you wake up in the morning and you're doing exactly what you want to do in all the ways that you want to do it, pursuing a life dream in every single way, right? You want to become an artist, you want to become a person who's growing in all of the aspects of who they are and every single interpretation of that, right? Then we become well-rounded and well-informed of who we are, become very self-aware. So if we're all doing that as a civilization, then that is reflected outwards as a vibration throughout the entire universe, right? And the universe, whatever, the universe is infinite, right? But it's also not just the space. It is the connection that we share with our ecosystem. It's the connection that we share with the trees, with the birds, with the animals, with ourselves, and how we interact with our relatives or our community. And if we have a really good relationship in terms of who we are and how we feel about what we've done in the world, then the world can feel that. It feels like this person feels good. They know what they're doing. They know who they are. They've been through some shit, but they've made it through in a way where they're even stronger as a result. That is awesome. I want to learn, I want to hear their story. I want to get to know what is up with this homie right here, right? So when we do this work in a way where it feels like everything is coming together in its own way, we don't judge anymore. Everybody comes from something. Everybody comes and is carrying something. But to those people who are able to carry the heaviest burden and move through it in a way where they're finally allowing it to just fall away, right? We don't need to throw it away. We need to force it. We need to allow it just to fall away, right? If we were to grow in a way where we needed to rip out everything, all of our traumas, all of our heaviness, all of our missteps in our life, it would just be traumatic in and of itself. We would become too much. It would be too fast, and we wouldn't have the wonderful maturity that comes and gracefulness that comes with enduring every step of the way, enduring every lesson that we learn along the way. So as we do this, as we connect in this way, as I do energy work into my grid lines, into my ley lines, into my heart, into my soul, into my spirit, I want to invite you all to just allow whatever comes up in this moment to come through in any way that it needs to, and to also connect to what is right now. What is right now? Where are you? What are you doing? What's coming up in your life or in your mind's eye, in your purview? Is there anything significant that you want to tap into and to feel into? If there is anything at all, just let it come up. Let it be exactly what it needs to be. Share a little bit about it and how you want to open up in the world. And also, take your time. There is no rush. Life is long. We say it's short, but it's really long. There's a lot of time. As long as we're focusing on what we want to do and not wasting our time by doing things that we don't need to do, right? Which is a thing in and of itself. There is plenty of time. And if you do feel like all of this is resonating, then come on, let's talk. Let's talk for real. Reach out and we'll connect a little more. But this was my first transmission, and I just wanted to do it in a way that felt good. I appreciate anybody that's listening or anybody that's tuned in any way. Let's allow ourselves to connect a little more, and let's clear out any negativity by taking a deep breath in. And as you breathe in, you can close your eyes, and you're going to squeeze all your muscles. Squeeze all the way down from the bottom of your spine all the way to the top of your crown and everything in between. Just squeezing everything like you're squeezing a rag, wringing out a rag or a sponge. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And exhale. And relax. We just did a full circulation. The energy is now sealing in terms of who you are and how you've connected. Great job. Thank you for joining. And I look forward to the next time.